Hi, everybody. In this video, we're going to talk about how to use Excel to find the values of a particular function, right? So we're going to call the independent variable x, and we're going to call the dependent variable y. And so these are the headers of the two columns we're going to use. And I'm just going to bold it and underline it and center it, all right? Yeah, sometimes you're going to be tempted to not put headers on your columns, and that's just confusing because you look at the thing at the file 2 days later, and you can't remember what the heck's going on. So it's a great idea to label all the columns so you can keep track of what's going on. All right, so we're going to pick a function to define here, and to do that, I'm just going to write the function in this cell B1. All right, so the cells are referred to by the letters on the columns and the numbers on the rows here. All right, so let's define the function y equals x squared. So to do squared, we're going to do the up caret. That's the shift 6 2. All right, so that's x squared, and then we're going to add to that. Let's add 3 times x, and the multiplication operator in Excel is the asterisk, which is shift 8, and then we're going to add to that 7. All right, so that's the function that we're going to calculate the value for. And I'm just going to widen this a little bit by dragging the interface there out so I can see the whole definition of the function. So let's define this for some x values. Let's start at 0, and then the next increment will be 1. I'm just going to center these by clicking on the column and just reinforcing the center command there by clicking on this center button up here. All right, so now I'm going to highlight 0 and 1, and there's a little box down here, and when I run the cursor over it, I see this little plus sign show up. So I'm going to put the cursor on the little box. It's going to turn to plus. That little box is called a handle, and I'm going to drag the handle down until I get to 15. That's what I wanted. All right, and so you see that if I start with an increment of 1 and I drag the handle down, that Excel will automatically increment each succeeding cell by 1, so that I wind up with 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. All right, so now we're going to define the function. So we're going to say, well, this function equals what? Well, the first thing it equals is x squared. What's x? X for my first point is 0. So I'm going to click over here in cell A2 where I've defined the x value of 0, and I'm going to say I want the value that's in A2 to be squared. So I'm going to do an up caret 2, and that's going to square it. And if I click on the little check mark there, it goes ahead and takes that input, and it says, yeah, 0 squared 0. All right, I'm going to center that. All right, so now let's put the rest of the function in there. So we're going to add to that. We're going to add to that plus 3 times x again. So I'm going to click again in cell A2 because that's where the x value is. And I'm going to add to that 7. And that is the definition of the y value for x equals 0. All right. Now, if I click in there, it highlights the cells I've referenced. So in this case, I've referenced A2 twice. So the cell A2 is highlighted there. If I drag this down, you see that what I've done is I've actually I've dragged the second instance down, right? So the second time I referenced the cell, it's now it's still A2, and the first time, that's why the one I dragged down, it's now at A3, right? So if we're referencing multiple cells, it will show up like you see on the screen. I'm just going to change this back so that in both cases we're referencing cell A2, and I'm going to click the check mark to say, yeah, that's the formula I want. All right, so now just like I dragged down the x value, I'm going to drag down the y value here. So let me grab the handle and drag it down, and see the numbers are changing. Why the numbers changing? Because the x value is changing. So I look over here, and I click in there and I can see that, oh yeah, now I'm referencing cell A5 where the X value is 3. All right. And if I look here, I'm referencing the cell A3 where the X value is 1. All right. So I'm going to continue to drag this down like that. And there you have it. I've defined a function, in this case, y equals x squared plus 3x plus 7. And I've found values for that function for these different values of x. All right, and I'm going to save this. All right, that's great. In the next video, we're going to plot this function in Excel. I encourage you to reproduce the Excel sheet that I have here on your own, just to reinforce what I've shown you here. It's one thing to watch somebody do math, and it's an entirely different thing to do it yourself. And the best way to learn is to do it yourself. So don't just rely on the fact that you've watched me do this. Go ahead and do it yourself. First do it without reference to the video and see how far you get. And if you have some problems or you can't remember exactly what I did, then take a look at the video, just kind of the snippets where it helps you out. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot.